We're live. Hi everyone and welcome to Your Best You. I'm Reverend Dr. Kat, your host. And I have Ruby here with me today, and you know last week he didn't get to come on, so that was kind of disappointing for some of the viewers. And of course I have a good witch with me too today.
Hi there.
Joan Kazmarzik is here. Whee!
And we're not at the studio. We
No.
are live from home. And in a
This is what I call Your Best You after 5.
Ooh.
So we talked about masks, a little bit last week, and it's really important. I want you to remember that when I do talk about your best you and doing things that are the best for you, it's always about remembering about the other one too. And speaking of the other one, I see my shadow here today.
Yes.
And your
Both of
shadow
us,
is
yes.
here too.
Yes, it is.
We all have a little bit of a shadow side.
Yep.
And that's always something interesting to talk about after dark.
Yeah.
But so here we are, and Nutmeg TV has been so fabulous with us for helping us to still produce the show and bring it to you, our viewers.
Without having to worry about going into the studio and, with social distancing and all that. This is the safest way to do it. And Kathleen has a great way of making a small area look just like a set at a TV studio.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you wouldn't know, which is one
Would
of those.
you?
Nope. So it's just a little magic that we share.
Yeah.
And after dark, of course, we are kicked back and having a little wine.
There's a little vino for you tonight.
Vino.
Yep.
Just to go for after 5, relaxed, enjoying the end of the day. That's good.
I made a pizza beforehand.
Yes, it was
Homemade
very
pizza.
good.
Yeah. I made a homemade pizza with whole wheat bread, and it just basically with some butter and milk, baking soda, baking powder, put some basil in it, kneaded it up really good, then spread it, made it real thin crust pizza.
It was fabulous.
Just put a little bit of organic tomato sauce on the top, some feta cheese. Oh, you know what else I did put in?
Cheese?
Yeah, and what else I
Nice.
did put in the crust? I forgot to mention that.
What's that?
I grated a cup of cauliflower.
Okay. I've heard of a lot of people using cauliflower for a flour base on certain things.
Yeah. No,
So-
they have cauliflower pizza now, so it's in the
Okay.
crust, and it
All
makes that crust, if you noticed, how the crust was a little bit fluffier. And,
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was very good.
Yeah,
and
it's so nice.
And it tempered the whole wheat.
Yeah, which
Because
can be
otherwise whole
really
wheat can
heavy.
be really, really heavy and it's not my fave,
No, Joan doesn't like, it's taken a while to even bring you around to some of the organics,
Yeah.
but, the
But-
organics, because they're whole food, they tend to seem like they're heavier, because if you're used to eating processed foods, obviously, all the processing has been done, and then they just reinstitute,
Some
vitamins and some nutrients, remember Wonder Bread?
Oh, yes.
So nutritious and enriching.
Wonder Bread,
With
and you had to get
peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, but Wonder Bread, you had to get the one that
It
was
was like
the
a sugar sandwich.
It was the sandwich ones that didn't have the big crust on the top. It was I don't know.
I don't know.
True.
I'm talking about Wonder Bread, but I'm wondering about the kids. And I'm wondering how you're doing, moms and dads out there, handling what's coming up for this fall. So there's a lot going on in the teachers and everyone who's getting involved into the teaching area. There's so much that's happening right now with sending the kids back to school. And there's a lot of debate. It's just truly intense.
Yeah.
And we
still
really,
haven't done
they're
answers.
winging everything.
Yeah.
So,
Well, just as the same thing with, with people going back to work. And, I worked through the entire thing because I work for a physician. We were on a reduced staff and we weren't able to see a lot of our patients for the safety of the patients. And we're now getting back to where we are seeing patients, but we still have to, we're wearing masks, the glass is closed. We have to keep a minimum of patients in the waiting room. We're taking temperatures on everyone coming into the building.
mm-hmm.
We're checking that there's extra cleaning in the rooms, before and after patients. I have people sliding their paperwork or their charts under the window so that I'm not opening the window and opening myself to anything as well.
Yeah, which is, great for adults. But
Right,
children
but for
are
children,
matter
the
entirely.
children, and the
we have to
parents
think
just
about
don't
kids.
know what they're going to do. I work with several women who have young children, and everything is really up in the air.
It is up in the air.
They
So
just
what are
don't
we
know.
going to do when everything is up in the air? And so it's kind of like when everything is, how does it say? How to kind of when everything's falling into pieces, how you don't fall apart, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so right now, I hope that we really take a look at this and observe what's going on in some of the other places where this is happening, because we know as New Englanders,
Yeah.
when the fall comes around, it's a whole nother
It's
matter
more
for
than-
us.
Yeah, it is.
And this is something that we want always, right? We want our immediate happening, right? We want to lose weight right now, or we want to gain that degree right away, or
Immediate satisfaction.
whatever
Yeah.
it is. We want to see the results right away, and I think as
And
the
things
state
don't-
of Connecticut, we've done such a great job.
Yeah.
In how we've handled it.
Yeah.
With responsibility and care for the other in most of the cases.
I would say so, yeah. People
'cause
have been,
I've been on Facebook, and I have a large group of people from all over the nation, and not everybody is doing it the same
Yeah.
way.
Because
So-
even when in the grocery stores, what they did is they made the grocery stores, you got to follow the arrows. They had one-way shopping in the aisles in grocery
Yeah.
stores and Walmart. And for the most part, people were following that. And especially I noticed it at the very beginning. Everyone was extremely respectful.
Truth.
If you were coming into an aisle and someone was coming, before they put the one-way shopping, people would stand back and let you do what you had to do, and then when you moved, they would come in. And I'm still seeing people doing that. And that's,
So it really is
it is
about
really-
moving forward.
it is really. It really
And
is.
how are we going to move forward? And I think I'm looking. It's so funny because I can see our shadows.
Yes.
And it's a sense of there is a behind
Mm-hmm. And there is
that's
a forward.
cast
Yes.
from the image of the present,
Mhm.
and then there's a moving forward into what is the unknown.
Right.
So I'm hoping that you can touch base with us and make comments when you see it on the Facebook, or if you see us on the TV, because we always give thanks to Nutmeg TV for
Absolutely.
giving us the opportunity to be able to continue to share with you. I thought that tonight, because we're just doing a more relaxed show, and I brought Joan here. I also have a video of Crystal that I shared with Joan so that she could share with her friends, and you can check that out too. You'll find that up on the YouTube and on the Facebooks.
She's quite the character.
Who, me?
Well, you too, but I was talking about Crystal.
So am I.
Speaking of Crystal,
This is
what a good
the
segue.
We don't even practice that much
No, we
together.
don't. We don't.
Yeah, I give her a sense of where I want to go and what I want to do, and I'm the OCD, meticulous note-taking everything
And
has
I'm
to
a
be
little,
so, oh, I have to go over this detail and that detail, set up the camera, set up the set, make sure the clothes are right, and then, and then I go, okay, but then we're going to just, basically do
and then we just
a
we
loose
just
show.
run with it.
Well, not unless we have the sled dog Lily with us, and then
then we could run with it. That's for sure.
But anyway, I did bring my my amethyst, and I asked Joan to bring one of her amethysts too. And I wanted to just talk about the crystals because it's interesting as time has passed to see. I used to talk about I've talked about crystals for decades, right? But now they're in fashion, so everybody's talking about crystals and the power of crystals, and it's on CNN. And did you know that crystals can do these things? And yes, everyone who's been in my world knows it because I've shared it with them, including with Joan.
Right.
So now we do a lot of crystals in the house, and
Yes,
as we've done the crystal grids, we've
Yes.
shown that on the show as well. But I thought maybe Joan could talk a little bit about what does she do with her amethyst crystal. And I know even at the office,
Yes.
we've brought some of the crystals into the office, and people notice it.
They do, and it's amazing because they do talk about it. This one I have in my room, just as Kat has hers in hers, and it's for a very good energy, very good positive energy and protection. I also have several crystals at my desk. I have rose quartz. I have 2 pieces of rose quartz. I have a piece of amethyst and a Herkimer diamond that are right on my desk. I also have a piece of amethyst that you gave me years ago that's right in front of a picture of sky.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a little mini crystal grid on the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
And I have that for the good energy that it brings. People do notice it and are really fascinated by it and very, very positive with their comments about it. And it gives me a chance to share a little bit with them. It's there for the good energy. It's there for the protection. It's there with the rose quartz, for the love, for the good energy and the good vibes that brings too.
Everything is energy.
Yes,
and they have energy fields within the crystals. And they do...
and if you don't believe it, this thing is vibrating in my hand.
Well, in my second book, From Ancestors to Aliens, I have a very alive stone in that if you want to go on a fanciful journey with a stone.
Yeah.
But, think of the Betz crystal that was found. So we know that there are very mysterious aspects that go on in these alive entities.
They're not just rocks.
So when it comes to, I'll get serious for a minute. When it comes to things like the virus, I don't want you to go all frou, but I do want you to be aware that everything is energy, and how we are in relationship to whatever it is that we're encountering. As you know, I've had stories, I've talked about my encounter with cancer and how I approached it a little bit differently. Instead of coming from a place of war and a battlefield and poison and cut and burn, I chose a different path, which was, okay, everybody has cancer. There's something that got out of ease within my body that allowed me to get sick. And I did do some of the treatments, but it was about my mindset in terms of how I understood this mutating entity within my body that causes us to have cancer. So I decided to start sending love into that, and realizing that perhaps if instead I treated you as my enemy, I treated you as someone that maybe, I could cohabitate with. Truth, I'm not kidding. So I approached it a little bit differently and thought, well, if this is something that we all are living with, then surely it has to do with how do we live with it. And we've lived with a lot of different kinds of viruses throughout our time as human beings.
Yes,
and then we have certain viruses that surprise us,
Yeah.
or that have been genetically modified, or that come from somewhere that we're suddenly not prepared for.
Yeah.
And then we have an opportunity to translate that, or as you hear, a lot of the pundits say, or business people say, can you pivot? Can you zoom too? So we're very quick on our feet when we have to be, aren't we?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. This is true.
So when it comes to the children, we want to keep the children safe, but we know that once the children go in, there are other people other than the children.
Yep.
There are the teachers that
The
are working.
teachers.
And from what I've been hearing, most of the teachers, just as in the healthcare profession, to which I was in when COVID hit the fan, is that they're the most vulnerable group, and they're generally carrying some type of condition that makes them high risk, whether it's diabetes or, we have a list.
Yeah, could be almost anything.
Right.
This day and age.
So, and then they come home to the grandmother or the aunt or someone who's living in the home. So it really, I think one of the things in the difficult times that I've said, we have our good and we have our highest of good, and we see the worst of us. But it gives us an opportunity where we can pivot and become centered on realizing that it's not just me. When you take me and turn it upside down, you get we. See? So we're all in it together in the sense that we are all in it together. But again, this parallel universe, some people are not suffering to the extent that other people are suffering, as throughout history.
Well, that is true.
So it's just a tough, I always think about the witch trials and the women like myself who would be, crucified and burned
at the
and
stake,
drowned,
Yep.
and everything that you could think of because of who I am, right? So we know that there's always this other part of humanity that hates anything that isn't of them, and when we stand in love and light, that power of that love and light by itself shines so bright that nothing that's dark can overcome that light. We know that.
Yes, we do.
Talk louder, because the
I am
audience
talking.
can hear you.
I think they'll hear me just fine. At least I certainly hope so. But yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And we do have to remember that again. It's not about just you. It's when you're asked to wear a mask, when you're asked to do certain things. It's not focusing on you, and you can't look at it that way.
Well, you can look at it any way you want,
yeah.
but we would be
But
inviting you
right,
to be
to say-
broadening your perspective to include more than me into more of an inclusive
Right.
we.
Because it's, okay. It's not a fun thing to wear a mask. But think of it not that it's an inconvenience for you. Again, looking in the broad respect, you're helping to protect not only yourself, but someone else, someone that you love, someone, your neighbor, your friends, a coworker, anyone, maybe even that stranger that you ran into at the grocery store.
It's the truth, and we don't know much about what's going on with this. So I think that, this too shall soon pass, as my grandmother would say. And, we always would say, Brian said, I should call I want to make a kickoff, call your best shoe. And I thought, well, that's interesting, because my grandmother always said, well, you think you got it hard. She was an old Irish biddy. She used to burn stuff in the backyard. You think you got it, and
We burned stuff in the backyard too. But
and she'd bring, she took care of all these war vets and people that were with certain special needs.
Or down on their, as they'd say at that time, down on their luck.
Yeah, no, the special needs
Okay.
children and
All right.
the war vets is what she worked with. And They were in the home all the time, so I'd see them all the time. I thought they were all my cousins, you know. But anyway, it's the innocence, you know. It's a beautiful thing. Don't ever let them take your inner sense away, right? Innocence. So, but yeah, she would say, well, you think you have it hard, because we grew up, you know, secondhand. Well, you think you have it hard, she'd say, because you don't have no new shoes. Until you see somebody who doesn't have any feet. And then you don't complain about your shoes no more. She was tough. But, you know, imprinted me, you know.
Oh, of course.
Imprinted me. So, you know,
Wise
again,
grandma.
it's being of the gratitude, as I showed you in the last show when I talked about the bed and everything, and the gratitude. And then, you know, counting our blessings.
Yes.
So when we're sending our children off to school, if we're sending them off to school because, you know, that's our mandate, and we're doing that, we know that we can do a lot with our energy and how we are in relationship to how we're talking to our children about what's going on, because God bless the children, they're going through this. Can you imagine being a little one? Can you imagine being a little one growing up during this time?
Oh my gosh.
And having, you know, they're almost like it doesn't even, they're not even like, I heard some kids the other day, they were getting to go to the park, and they were so happy to go to the park. They didn't even, well, what do you think about the mask? And they didn't even care.
Yeah.
They were just so happy to be out with their friends.
Yep.
So perspective changes views.
Yeah.
And views change perspectives. And I think that the best perspective, no matter what the view, Paul, what did St. Paul said? He learned how to sing in the sewer, you know. So no matter what the view, change that perspective and your view changes. So when you're looking through a different lens inside out, and you are you, I am me, you are me, I am you, inside out, we are the same. I shared, I don't know how much time we have, or a little bit, I shared quickly the other day with a young lady, an imprint that was given to me as when I was a very young lady, you know, as a white woman, right, with my generation, there weren't any people of color around us at all. It was like this world of white. And I remember I was introduced to a book called Black Like Me, which was written by a white man, but he had gotten some kind of, you know, color to make him be able to
so that he
pass.
For black.
And he went out and did this literature, and, you know, of course, it was my first imprint. And I thought, well, isn't that amazing? And then the second imprint that I got was an imprint from a Jewish doctor who my father helped to have his name changed so that it wasn't Jewish sounding, because there were, you know, no Jews allowed kind of thing, you know. Wow. So we have no Irish allowed, no blacks allowed, no Jews allowed. We just create this crazy world of hate.
Yeah.
And I think that one blessing out of this horrible COVID experience is that it has awakened us again to Black Lives Matter and to the way we are in relationship to one another, and the connection of poverty to health, and to think that that those who are in poor environments are getting the same health care as people who have money, and to wonder why they're going in to steal bread reminds me too much of my heritage, when my people were kept away and we stole bread and were thrown to Australia. So, you know, put the shoe on and see how it fits. But I guarantee, just like the man who wrote the book Black Like Me, you're never going to really know, say, what it fits like, because you're not it.
Right.
So it's about being open to one another and listening to one another's stories, and sitting back and, you know, spending time and breaking bread with people that are diverse, becoming more inclusive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. And that has to do with age too, not just skin color.
Sure.
As we get older, it's almost as if, oh, you're old now, die.
No. Sorry, not happening.
So, it's the quality of life, no matter what age one person
Yeah.
is a beautiful thing, to have the best beautiful life that we can have,
Yeah.
to be your best you. John, is
Yep.
there anything you wanted to share about
Well,
your mask or anything before
Well,
we
I wanted
say
to say
goodbye?
that yes, again, just in keeping with our theme today, when you're going out, you're going to be out in the public,
Oh yeah,
mask up.
John, that's the husky mask.
I saw this and I could not resist it.
I don't know.
It
Can
looks
we
just
hear?
like crystal.
We're going to have little mics inside of our masks. So
It
that
looks
we can
just
be
like
heard.
crystal, so I couldn't resist getting it. It was just one of those things, and it's great. It's been very well received, and it makes people smile. And if you can make people smile, then that's a beautiful thing. Because that's, again, sharing the love and light.
Yeah, share the love and light for sure.
Especially in a time like this.